What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another edition, another installment, another episode. Oh yeah, come on, one more time. We are in here. We are in here. You feel me? Welcome everybody to the Black Men Win podcast with your host, your boy Tyler Pie Guy, and this is our last, not least though. Okay. But this is our last interview for our Black Women Win series. Right. First of all, before we even get into the interview, I want to thank every single woman that has come on this show for this month. It has been an amazing journey this month. Like I said, it came off the fly, and I'm just grateful that God gave me the nugget, and I acted on it as soon as possible. And I'm thankful to the women that that came to the call. You feel what I'm saying? Because they didn't have to. And so per our interview today, we have an amazing, talented, gifted. You feel what I'm saying? I don't even know how much to say. Right, activist. Oh my God, I call her the new Angela Davis. I say it all the time, right? People be looking at me crazy. I'm like, yo, y'all don't even know, bro. Y'all don't even know. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm going to, per first question we do here at the Black Men Win podcast for our series, is we're going to let our guest gas themselves and introduce themselves. So go ahead.
Which is often an issue for me. Which is often an issue.
I got you.
Seriously.
I got you. If you leave out stuff, it's all
No,
good.
because anybody that knows me knows like my internal designates my external success.
Right,
So
right,
like I
right.
feel like I don't have to like announce what I'm already walking in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You
Come
get what I'm
on,
saying?
come on.
This early.
You
Don't
better
drop
talk.
early. But like I've always operated out of the sense like I don't have to announce when I'm already walking. I believe my ministry already have those people that are assigned to me. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Absolutely.
yeah, and never announce before it's time. So your girl is
Amen.
all coming on social media when it's time to
Amen.
announce. But
Right.
just in general, my name is LaShawntelle Carson-Pops. I go by Chantel or Lala. Many know me as Lala, but Chantel preferably.
Right.
I am a social worker. Specifically, right now, I work in a clinical setting. I work with those who are addicted to different substances. I am a
Mhm.
therapist. Most of my experience come from macro social work. So to break it down for those who don't know, macro, meso, micro, all of that.
Right.
Macro is more of your systems, more policy, more administration,
Mhm.
where clinical or micro is more of your individual therapy. You're directly working with a person, and meso is like a mixture of both, you know.
Right. Right.
And so I, went to micro setting because I felt like I needed more experience in that lane. So,
Mhm.
like Ty said, activist. I am a
Yes,
motivational
man.
speaker,
Yes.
a social worker. I feel like I dibble dabble in so many different things. I'm now an executive producer.
Yeah.
Have my own documentary.
Multifaceted for sure.
Multifaceted, yes. I have my own documentary coming out. Stay tuned.
Oh my God.
Another project. So just
Yep.
just different things like that. I feel like I'm a woman of many hats.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And let me say this. We have known each other it's going on almost 10 years, right? Um
Yeah.
and it'll probably be 10 in like 2023 or something like that. But still, that's a long time to know somebody, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen Chantel, I think we've both seen each other in the most vulnerable of
I was just
times.
about to say vulnerable.
Like, I don't think I can say there's a couple more friends who have seen me in those vulnerable positions. And Chantel
Mm.
has been one of those, right? She's seen me when I was up. She's seen me when I was dead low, right? and vice versa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've had situations where it was just like, God gonna test your friendship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like real talk, God gonna test your friendship. And
Definitely.
it was just like, for me, I could never leave a friend who's been a friend to me on that same level behind. You understand what I'm saying? And so we connected instantly, right? And we've been connected as brother and sister. If it ain't, if just because of that, it's not blood. You know what I'm saying? That's my sister. You understand what I'm saying? Like I love her to death, and it's so, again, because we've seen each other in that space of growing, of glowing, right? of ups and downs, trials and tribulations. I've seen her and where she's come from. She's doing it. She's doing so. When we say a woman of like many hats, it's crazy. You understand what I'm saying? When I say the Angela Davis, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that just to be funny. I'm saying that because she's walked in
Mm-hmm.
every space that she has walked into, authentically herself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, when I tell you that is the biggest thing, especially when you are in a predominantly white city and a predominantly white institution, it is not it is not looked upon for, and I'm gonna say this for real, it is not looked upon for us to
Mm-hmm.
come into that space. We have to kind of tone it down, right? We
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to bring it in. And to me, you never did that.
Mm-hmm.
No, you walked in there. I'm LaShawntelle. I'm gonna get the job done. I'm the best person for it. That's what it is. You're gonna
Straight
take
like
me straight like that. When you see, and the best part of Chantel is when she sees injustice anywhere, whether that's in the office, outside, right? Hell, we could be walking to the car, some shit could be going down in the parking lot. I'm not,
I'm gonna
I'm
say
not,
something.
I'm not, I'm
This
not.
is like no exaggeration. I'm going to say
It's like Jason, like, yo, I'm dead serious. And sometimes you look at her and be like, wait, huh? What are you talking about? Yo, and her and then you learn to appreciate it, because there's not a lot of minds like that out here who's like, do you see that shit? Because if it was the black man, see, and you gotta, and see, sometimes when you take it there, it is a little, it sometimes is a little over exaggerated, and that's why I love it so much. Is because I'm like, I can understand that, right? Because then you look at the bigger picture, and sometimes it's like, yeah, I'm being a little bit over exaggerated, but at the same token, I am saying what's real. Like, this is not what it is. And when I say that, to say like, yo, she's been in spaces and in places where she has been authentically herself, and I've seen people in those same spaces tone it down, bring it in, not be authentically themselves. And I'm not even on just speaking on a black white level. I'm just speaking on a human level, not being authentically themselves. You walk into a room and people know who Chantel is. That's it. Right. And I'm so again, I'm so happy for her. For her, first of all, yeah, I am happy for her. Right. She has a master's, licensed social worker, therapist, um, 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 executive producer. I'm on her documentary. Okay. I just wanted to say that, right? I'm on her doc. I look horrible, but I'm on her documentary. And this is a
look, we
documentary.
all look raw. It's raw.
It's raw.
Yeah,
This
raw.
glow up that we having right now again, that all my friends having and shit. This wasn't us 2 years ago. Okay. Like,
Not at
this
all.
wasn't us. So it's like, to see where she was, like, yo, just 2 years ago when we were doing the doc. Like, I just thought about it, like, yo, we were doing that in 2020.
Yep.
We were doing that in 2020. Like, I was thinking, like, what? So I'm excited for everything that you have coming, and we want to give you your flowers and just want to say you are amazing. You feel me? You are amazing. You continue to just inspire. You feel what I'm saying? And again, you show up authentically yourself.
Mhm.
And we appreciate that. So, Chantel, we have a couple questions for you.
No, can
That
I say something? Though?
oh
Can I
yeah,
say something?
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, like I appreciate that that comment of that I show up authentically as myself in settings, because for a
You
long
do.
time it has been a fight to show
Right.
up as authentically myself. For a long
Yeah.
time I have struggled with identity issues, you know what I mean?
Right.
And not
Right.
because I want to struggle with those identity issues, but the things that comes with being a Black woman, or the things that comes with being a millennial, the things that
Right.
comes
Yep.
with being a woman in general, you know, the things that has come with my personal experiences in general. It has perverted this perspective about myself that I struggled with for years. And so I did struggle walking in rooms authentically, because I felt like if I was my authentic self, I will be too much, that I will offend somebody, that I won't be accepted. And so it's crazy, because it wasn't just till last year actually that I was like, you get the best, you get this who you see now presented in front of you, or you get none of me. Because I'm tired of this struggle
Right.
of, you know, not knowing who I want to be in different settings. No,
Right.
you're gonna get this one person now. It's either you accept it or you don't. So thank you for that compliment. Thank you, because that made me realize that I have been putting in a lot of work, a lot of self work that people don't realize need to go into showing up in rooms authentically.
Hmm.
So I appreciate that for sure, for sure.
No problem, because you do, and if, as
Mhm.
somebody who have seen you in the corporate space, the education space, and just being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur yourself, you show up as yourself, right? And it's not
Mhm.
to say you don't grow in those areas, because you have and you do, and you continuously do that. But it's
Mhm.
also to say like, yo, you out here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You really out here, and you show up, whether people like it or not, and that's fine. And dandy with them. You take it up with
Exactly.
God. You take it up with the big G.
Take it up with God.
You feel
Sorry,
me?
y'all ain't gonna see
So,
Poppy in the back.
oh, that's all right. That's all right. Shout out to the dog. Shout out to the Chantel, we got a couple questions here. We asked these
Mhm.
questions to particularly our Black men on the show, but I wanted to formulate these for this series, the Black Woman Win series. Just in wanting to know not only where some Black women stood with some of these questions, but where
Mhm.
um kind of how we as Black men can kind of get better understanding the kind of, you know, ebbs and flows of Black women, right? And
Mhm.
so my second question to you is that when I talk about these five areas, right? Spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, and financial, right? And the mental, right? Let's not forget that. Okay.
Yeah.
I call them like the Ferris wheels, the five seats on a Ferris wheel, right? It's the Ferris wheel of Black male feeling, right? And I think
Right.
as Black males, we tend to hinder, right, ourselves
Mhm.
on the more physical and financial, not trying to gain more of the other three. Right now,
Mhm.
I have seen, and I will continuously say this on my platform, I have seen a growth in there, right? Because as me, as most of my guests, to damn near all my guests have said on the show, we've seen positive, you know, progression within the
Mhm.
Black male space about trying to tap into the spiritual, the mental, the emotional more, and you know the other two, the physical and the financial, excuse me, will follow. Not to say you can't go after it, but it's to say like, yo, you get those three together, by golly, they the two will
Mhm.
the other two will be good. And so I wanted to know in the term in the form, you know, as a Black woman, right? How do
Mhm.
you see those five um those 5 sectors of kind of feelings and emotions. How do you see that going through life and going through this world as a Black woman?
From my experience personally, and I kind of touched on it earlier when you had started talking about showing up in a room authentically, spiritually speaking, I feel like I always start from the spiritual because the spiritual is the foundation and the other ones fall into it. But like spiritually
Right.
speaking, I feel like Black women undergo an attack of identity in
Yeah.
general, like, and to break that down into themes, invisibility. You've
Mm-hmm.
seen too many times and oftentimes today where we fight for position, and you see
Mm-hmm.
that in a professional setting. Projection. Too many times there are white folks and other folks that are projecting stereotype, i.e., we talked about, or you have talked about the strong Black woman stereotype, the projection of that. We haven't really talked about the angry Black woman, which is something I go through often. Stereotype.
Ooh. Because now
We don't
I was actually going. I had the sidebar question, right, was going to be the black the as society calls it, and as we've talked about through this whole series, the strong Black woman trope, right? We have not got into the angry Black woman trope, so I want you to touch on that a little bit. Right, I
let
want
me
you to touch. Yeah, go ahead, because I want you to touch on both of those. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's more so what I go through. So the angry Black woman trope is more so that for me specifically, I just went through this at my
Mm-hmm.
new position.
Mm-hmm.
I intentionally go into areas where I don't just jump into things. I like to observe. I like to just get the feel for my colleagues. I like to get the
Mm-hmm.
feel for the organization. I
Mm-hmm.
like to work from the background. And then when God gives me that goal to be a leader in whatever, then that's when I'll move. That's when I operate.
Right.
And
Right.
so an example of the angry Black woman trope would be like, I would go to like clinical meetings or just meetings in general and just sit back, don't say nothing. We in COVID now with a mask on my face now.
Right.
And already I have gotten the complaint that I always look mad, that I always look like I have an attitude on my face, or
Oh
I
wow.
always look like I have an attitude. I always look like there's something wrong in general. With the Black woman, it's always something. We're always
It's
upset
all
about
yeah.
something.
Right.
We're
Right.
always upset about something. We always got to bring up something. We always got to tear down somebody, i.e., tear down the Black man. That type of stuff. Always angry about something. Always mad. It's always something. That's the angry Black woman trope. It's
It's always.
always that we got to nag, quote unquote, nag
Hey,
about.
but you know what?
You
That
feel
is true.
me?
We as
Yeah.
men and some women tend to just harp on that like, yo, you like, why you look mad all the time? And it's like I've definitely have to come to realize, like, it's not that they're angry. They be good. It's just maybe they face just you don't know. Like
But that's
you
the thing.
just
I don't even have, at least I don't think, I don't know,
no. I
but I
don't
don't
think you
even
do.
have, do I
No,
have the resting
the rest in
B face?
B face, or as we'll call it today, as we'll
You
call
feel
it
me?
today, the resting angry face.
Yes.
I personally don't think you do.
I don't
Right?
think I do either. I'm
I would
telling
have
you,
told you if you did. Trust me,
you
I
know,
would have told you. But no,
I think it mostly comes from the fact that you mentioned it earlier, like people can't come around me without me speaking up against right or wrong, and
yeah, yeah,
people
yeah,
can't
yeah,
take that.
yeah. That's true. That's true.
People can't take that at all.
Yeah.
So I think it stems from that. Like, and Ty, you could attest to this. Like I grew up, not grew up, but I was around y'all most of the time. Our circle, I
Mm-hmm.
was around our guy friends a lot of the time. And correct me if I'm right or wrong. Like when our y'all guy friends used to come around, hey, don't say the B word around Chantel.
Yeah, facts,
Hey, don't
facts.
do this around
Yo,
Chantel.
cause we
Cause she
knew,
gonna say
right?
something.
Like, yo, cause she gonna say you better, and then they would do it, and I'd be like,
And
well,
then there she go. There
there
she
she go.
go.
Because now you done
Educating
started.
somebody.
Now you done started. Now she done educated you, and now you
You
mad
don't
because
want
you
her.
got the education. We told you not to say it.
Don't call another woman a bitch around me. Don't call her a hoe
saying it.
around
I
me.
be like,
Don't
listen,
say that bitch around. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like I try to settle the words a little bit, but like
Right.
don't do that around me.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I think for that, that's why I was labeled as the angry Black woman, because it was always something that I
Right.
had something to say about.
Right.
And then often how I express myself, it often comes off as passionate. And a
Right.
lot of us Black women are passionate, you
Right.
know, but it often comes off as angry
Right.
or
Aggressive.
aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Aggressive. I've been
Mm-hmm.
called aggressive so many times. Assertive, that's what I am, yes. But
Assertive.
aggressive,
Yes. Yes.
aggressive, no, I don't have a
Right.
violent intent when I'm having a conversation with you, but you're going to hear this passion behind it because I'm serious.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's serious. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, let's
Serious.
be real, it's
It's
serious.
serious. Right.
And so, but yeah, so the projection, like the angry Black woman or the confrontational Black woman, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of often people find confrontation as something negative. It could be negative if in the sense of how uh uh you're confronting a situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the sense of if you're confronting a situation and coming at the situation from a perspective where it is offensive or a perspective where you're being judgmental, or you can, confront that confrontation in the wrong timing,
Right.
it can often send off a negative message.
Right.
But often confrontation is what helps people and organizations and different things to grow, right? Confrontation
Mm-hmm.
is what
Mm-hmm.
brings growth. Confrontation is what brings change. But often when it's projected on the Black woman, it comes out as negative.
Right. Right.
So you have
Right.
that. You have another common theme of devaluing,
Right.
right? Often Black women have been known for the experience. Often we have been used for an experiment.
Right.
A perfect example would be, the clearest example would be slavery time, of this exploitation, right? Many
Mm-hmm.
enslaved Black women became sexually and physically victimized during slavery, and it was
Right.
legal.
Right.
You know what I mean? When talking about reproduction, right? Where Black women were used to reproduce and create more Black babies
Right.
for the gratification of our, white counterparts, for capitalism, for all those different things that slaves were used for. And then even today, you still see some examples of, sex violence. Black women experience the highest rates in sexual assault,
Mm-hmm.
rape,
Mm-hmm.
domestic violence,
Yeah.
stalking. How in general you still see this when we talk about reproductive rights and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You still see this thing where there's forced sterilization or forced what is it, hysterectomies,
Mm-hmm.
which stemmed back from the Jim Crow era, to and the means to control the Black population. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
And so devaluing, um, even when speaking about devaluing today, when you see us in the media,
Right.
we're hypersexualized.
Yeah,
You
we
know what I
talked
mean?
about that. Mm-hmm.
In the media, we're hypersexualized. You know what I mean? And this is an unpopular opinion. Now we have this thing where we're taking back the narrative, the power back. But in
Right.
my personal opinion, I think part of that is sending a negative message to our young Black women. Yeah, I get the whole intentionality between taking that power back. Yes, we should have the right
Mm-hmm.
to say what goes on with our body and this, and that, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever like
Mm-hmm.
that. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that wholeheartedly, 100%. But why in every conversation that we're having, why in every rap song that there is by a female artist, or why in every song, it always have to be about WAP. It always have to be you feel me? Like, why? I'm not all my body. I am not my body. There's more to Shawntelle than the WAP. You feel me? No shade.
I'm
No shade.
sorry, y'all.
There is more to me than the WAP. There is more to me than my breast. There is
You,
more to me than my booty. There is more to me than my curves.
I'm sorry.
That is,
She killed
I
me.
mean,
Oh shit,
there is
bro.
more to me than my body.
I wasn't ready for I wasn't ready for that
I
one.
mean, and that's why I said this is an unpopular
No,
opinion.
right. But you have a point. You have a point though. You have a point.
I do, like I said, I
There is
get
an
the intentions
excessiveness.
behind it and
Yes.
taking the power back. I get
Right.
that. We should be able to we should be able to, have control of our own body, have the say so of what goes on with our body. I
Right.
get that. I
Right.
get that part.
I
I'm
100% agree.
100% with that.
Yeah,
But when
100%
it
agree.
becomes all that is to a topic of conversation, that's where I have a
Right.
problem with that. That's where
Because
that's where it's sending the wrong message. You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
Because we talk about when we and I think to your amazing points, honestly, which covered damn near all of that, right? Um no, seriously, like when we think about it, if you take a look through our history books, right? The black woman literally has been and still is to this day the bottom tier, right?
yeah,
When we think
bottom of the
about
barrel.
and I learned this from a black woman. Shout out to Blue Taluzma, right? She's the one of the co-hosts of Hollywood Unlocked with Jason Lee. Um, but she's a writer for Griot. She's an educator, right? She's super duper smart, right? And this is why I love black women and watch black women because y'all smarter than me. I know that. I know that. I know that. Like not like I'm smart, I'm intelligent, but y'all smarter than me. I knew that. I was raised by a black woman. Period. Now I'm not saying y'all right all the time, right? But y'all smarter than me. I will say that. You feel what I'm saying? However, she was talking about just like the power dynamic in just America, right? And just the power dynamic in human America, right? And she said when black women go into a space, black women literally are the ones that kind of have to be everything when we go into it. Perfect example would be the the lady, the newest Supreme Court judge who just who got nominated by Joe Biden, right?
Right.
She would be the what's her name? I want to get her name right.
I don't know
Ken
how to pronounce her name.
Ken Ken Lord have mercy, because she's our MVP of the week too. For for one of my other shows, so I want to make sure I get her name right. But the Supreme Court judge who was nominated is the first black woman to be on or in the Supreme Court, right? And you knew that being nominated, everybody was gonna throw the book at her. Everybody, I mean, they was gonna throw it, throw it, throw it, throw it, throw it, throw it, throw it. The emotional level that you have to have, and we as men could never understand, of having to go through all the lines because they showed how and or what she did, her track record over time compared to other Supreme Court justices, right? She covered all the bases. And so I say that to say Blue was like, yo, black women are at the bottom. Black men and white women are neck and neck with each other, are head to head.
Are ahead of us. Like,
right? Like we are ahead of black women, right? Black men know this. You understand what I'm saying? White women know that they are above black women. It's the white man that's at the top, right? We know that. So it's always important, I know just for me, to recognize that black women were some of the starters and innovators of a lot of the shit of America. Right? And so it is important that we understand the emotional and the mental and the spiritual, right? Because when I and I'm just saying as a people, right? As humans, and I'm gonna say it again. When we have that intact, even when we're tapping into that, right? And Chantel will tell you, when you tap into it, when you tap into the spiritual,
Right.
that you have to. There is no way around not tapping into the mental and the emotional if you're really tapping into the spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
The spiritual will open up the floodgates of the Niagara Falls. You will be crying. Okay. You will
Mm-hmm.
cry probably more than normal. Okay. Your mental, you will be thinking out loud a lot more, talking in silence a lot more. You feel what I'm saying? And this is just from me, right? But once you fully tap into that spiritual, everything else falls in place. Everything else begins to fall in place. And I said at the beginning, Lala, we don't focus on that enough. We don't focus on that enough. And I want to ask you to that point, why don't we focus on that enough?
Focus on the spiritual,
On the
like.
on those three, like why or do you think black women focus on that more? Because I find it attend to like black women focus on those three a little bit more than men,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now there could be an argument there, right? There could be an argument like, some women do focus on that financial, what I'm saying? Everybody focuses on the financial to get in that bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is a tendency for me to believe that there is a slight advantage when it comes to black women in them tapping into those three a little bit more, because as black men, we first of all, as black men, we don't allow ourselves to feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? But at the
Mm-hmm.
same token, do you think as black women you guys tap into that a little bit more?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say we tap into it a little bit more.
Mhm.
I would say because it looks differently for everybody.
Right, right.
I don't want to sit here and say like, black women tap into the emotional, spiritual, and all that a little
Mhm.
bit more because there are men that aren't apparent that are tapping into these gifts more, a lot more than I
Right,
am. Not
right.
gifts, but
Fact, fact,
these as a lot more
fact.
than I am.
Me
I have
too,
met
me too.
men that has, what I'm saying? I have met
Yeah,
men that has tapped into it a little bit more than me and is deeper
yeah,
into it a little bit more than me. But to your point about I think it has to do with what you just said. Like it just looked differently for the black man and the black woman and how
yeah,
society is set up. For
yeah.
to your point for what you said for black men, yeah, it's foreign for a black man to be vulnerable. Like
Right,
they're not allowed to cry. They're not allowed to talk about y'all not allowed to talk about your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
you're not allowed to show that soft side
right.
of you.
We're
You know what I
not.
mean?
We're
You gotta
not.
be hard. You gotta be
Mhm,
hard in these streets,
mhm.
it's a sign of weakness. As for black women or women in general, it's more acceptable for us. It's more
Right,
acceptable to be vulnerable. It's more
right,
acceptable to
right,
share our emotions about something. You know what I'm saying? It's more acceptable for us to talk about those vulnerable things that need to be talked about in general. So I think it has more so to do with what society accepts and what society don't accept. You know what I
Ooh, I
mean?
like
So
that. I like that. I like that. I like that. Now,
mhm,
going into our third question, because I like that question, I want you to keep that because society
mhm,
does accept us, and I got a bonus question after
mhm,
this third question. So, when we talk about generational, right?
mhm,
As the and I've said this before, but we try to say it a new way, right? As we talk about generational curses, or
mhm,
as we say now, generational patterns, right?
mhm,
What are some of those that you have seen as a black woman, um, growing up as a black woman, living life as a black woman, right?
mhm.
Being around other black women. What have you seen, positively and negatively, that are some generational patterns that, um, again, are kind of either negative that you feel like need to be changed, or
Mhm.
some generational blessings that have come from, maybe some of those negative patterns that have been so generational in our community.
Yeah. I first want to break down generational curses and generational patterns because I think generational curses and patterns coexist with one another. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't talk about one without talking about the other. So like
Right.
when I think of generational patterns, it's more of a sense in present time or today's time, right? Or not present or today's time, but just in general, like what's happening, what's going on in the moment, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
generational patterns are like, toxic is toxic behavior that has been happening over time, and you consistently have moments where you have a decision to either operate in that generational pattern or to operate differently than that generational pattern. It
Right.
becomes a generational curse when you eat ends meet and you never got that generational pattern together. The curse is that
Right.
it passed on to the next generation. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
passed on to the next generation. So that's when it
Right.
becomes that curse. Now somebody from the next generation is dealing with this generational pattern that should have gotten taken care
Bro.
of
Right.
in that
Right.
generation.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
so now you still seeing this cycle of, yeah. So for example, an example of that can be, how what would be considered as a generational curse nowadays for the Black community, or just in general,
Um.
maybe how we what parent our kids, and
Yep.
there's this debate about how we whoop our kids,
That's
how we
one.
beat our kids, yeah, how we beat our kids or whatever
That's
like that.
one.
Like there's a fine line
Yeah.
between how we are literally beating our kids and abusing our kids.
Yeah.
There's
And
that fine
discipline.
line,
Right. Right. Right.
and that can be something,
Discipline
as an
ain't met in the
example.
middle.
Yep, yep. And so, but what I've seen as a generational pattern, more, I wanted to start with the positive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say that Black women, it's crazy how we often fight for position, but we have the gift of when we step into the room, we can command the room.
That is facts. Yes.
We have the power to command it. We have, like, when a Black woman is in the room, whether she's
Yeah.
the only Black woman or where there's multiple Black women. When we
Right.
open up our mouths and speak, everybody gravitate towards our voice.
Right.
When we are just sitting there in somebody's presence, healing, like that healing comes out.
Right.
People come
Right.
towards that
Right.
healing, and so I think that that's one of our generational blessings for Black women. The fact that, like, we're able to exert that healing energy, like we're able to
Mm-hmm.
command the room that the way that we command the room. We're up
Right.
against the odds. You said at the beginning we're at the bottom of the barrel, but yet we're overcomers. We have been
Right.
overcoming since the beginning of time.
Right.
So I think that the reason why you see multiple women as first, which is another thing, this is positive that you see a lot of first, but we got to get to a point where we got to
It's
stop
not
saying, like,
just
this
one.
is getting excited, because get excited that we have a lot of first, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like, it's
Yeah.
like,
I agree.
I got to
I
keep being
agree.
a lot of first.
I
Like,
agree. I
we
think
now
that's a
we're in 2022 and we're still celebrating this Black woman or
yeah.
Black man
That's a pattern
as the
that I
first
want to break.
person
Yep.
to.
Mm-hmm. I 150,000% agree with you, Chantel. I think, and you know what? Now that's the first time I've heard that on the show, right?
And I'm not,
That
and no, and
and
yes,
this is no
celebrate. I'm
shame.
Black.
No, 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 because we gonna celebrate and we celebrate
Right.
every first. But I think, and here's the thing about every first, right? Whether you're the first Black man, Black woman, every first is looking for more people to fill the space.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? It can never get done though, because all they want is like, okay, we got the first, we got one, that's it. You feel what I'm saying? That's it. We don't need no more. We don't need no more. And as Chantel said, to her point, it's great. It's amazing. You know what I'm saying? To have the first, right? But again, at Chantel's point, we're in 2022,
And we're
and
still saying first.
we're still saying first. Like, my thing is, I don't think it should be this many first. It should be a reoccurring It should be more people in these seats. It should be more people taking these executive positions. It should be more people in the rooms. It should be more people work, like more black people up in here, black women and men. Like that's a pattern generationally that I find to be very just hindering in us. And I don't want to sound the way I'm sounding, right? Like I don't want to sound the way I'm sounding, but it gets to a point. I think you triggered something. Like it just gets to a point where it's like, how many firsts are we going to celebrate? Right? Why can't all of us enter the spaces? Because for me, I don't want to be first of, like I'm good. If I'm the first, that's fine. Right? I've been the first. And thankful, and I've been the first of something, right? Thank God that I had the cachet and the wherewithal to really open the space to having more black and brown people get in that seat. Right? And so when you think about it, it's like I just don't want to be the first.
Right.
2022 and when we're still here, it should be 2 or 3 black Supreme Court justice, black women Supreme Court judge, black people Supreme Court justices up in there.
Right.
4 or 5, 6 or 7. What are we talking about?
Or just BIPOC community, the BIPOC community.
The BIPOC community.
We need more representation.
Why are we not in these spaces? Because when y'all say first, everybody's gung ho and it's happy, go lucky, and it's great, and it's a happy time. But again, to the point, it's like, so can I get in those spaces? Can she come with me? Can he come with me? Can they come with me?
When will this become normal? Like
we're
still talking about first as if it's abnormal. No, it should be
facts.
It should have been normalized to see a black face in this space, to see Latino, Latina, Latinx, Hispanic communities in this space, to see indigenous people in this space, to see those who are from the LGBTQIA community from this space. Like it should be normal, not abnormal. Like again, I celebrate all my people in these spaces. But we got to stop. We got to normalize us in these spaces. I refuse to continue having conversations to where, oh my God, did you see the Black Supreme Court judge? She's the first, and congratulations. But it should have been more before her. She should never have to fight that hard to get in position.
Yo, again, to Chantelle's point, running down her track record, covered all the bases. She should not have to. Again, and it goes back to our point. Second question. Y'all are at the bottom. Societally at the bottom. She had to literally work that ass up to get to a nomination panel where 2 white men were just arguing. And they looking at, and she just looking at them like, what the hell? This ain't about y'all. Right? Like this ain't about y'all. Exactly. And shout out to Cory Booker, man. Like really shout out to Cory Booker. Okay? Shout out to that man. Looking like a milk dud sometimes, but shout out to that man.
All love.
Shout out to that man though. Cause he knew what she was facing, because he faced it himself. And she was facing double than what he probably was faced with.
She was facing double.
Like they hitting her from all angles. And I'm like, how are you hitting somebody who has covered their dots, their T's? Hell, she got a white husband. And I'm not even saying, I ain't even saying that's not even a bad thing. That's an amazing thing. Because she covered the dots and the T's and the I's. What are we talking? And she's beautiful. Like chocolate black woman. Y'all just didn't want. I was like, what? Y'all are really doing this right now?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's just to the curse, right? It's just to the curse. And there was another, oh my God, there was another curse in my head that I had that I think you triggered in my head because you said it. I don't know. Oh my God, you said it. I'm trying to think. Because you said it. We was, oh my gosh. It was the curse of just being the first, right? But also it was another one, and I'm really trying to think about it because when we talk about being the first, it's like, can we have something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's not harbor on the first. How can we get more people in that space? How can I get my, like you said, my Latinx, my LGBTQIA community in that space? My people's in that space. How can we get y'all in that space? What do we need to do? Yes, we are. And you know what? Another curse, and I think about it. We got to stop as just a general community. And I'm just speaking as a community of America right now. We have to stop playing the oppression awards, right? This oppression race. You understand what I'm saying?
Who's the more oppressed? Who's
Who's the
more
more
oppressed?
oppressed? Who's the more discriminated against? Who's the more this? Who's the more that? Here's my thing with this, right? As I continue to grow older and as I continue to gain more knowledge and everything, and just me being here in New York City, where this is the melting pot of America, right? There's everybody here. Different,
Right.
different brown folks, okay, different Asian communities, different black people. It ain't just black Americans. You feel what I'm saying? It's African Americans. Africans are here. You feel Jamaicans, Hondurans. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody is here. And so you see how everybody has to live, right, amongst each other. And they live really great. Like everybody has their own little, subsection or whatever, but everybody lives great. We have to stop this oppression awards or this oppression race.
Let me interview. So it's crazy how you say that because to your point, I see that a lot amongst our own personal community, the black community, when it
Yes,
comes to the black
yes.
man and when it comes to the
Comes
black
to the black
woman.
woman.
I'm
Who gets
often
oppressed
in
more?
conversation. And I hate being in these conversations because I don't be in conversation to
Mm,
compare oppression. I don't
yes.
want,
Yeah.
I don't compare oppression. Like I don't like saying that my experiences are worse than your experiences. Like I just don't
Exactly.
like saying that.
Yes.
In
Yes.
general, I've been noticing that amongst the black men and the black women when it comes to talking about who's at the bottom of the barrel,
Who's that?
who
Yep.
the worst. And you
Yep.
got the black man, we're at the bottom of the barrel because you see us getting shot by murdered by police officers. You often see us in the media getting arrested for something. You often see us in the media represented as some type
Mm-hmm.
of criminal or
Mm-hmm.
monster or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to your point, that's true.
That
That's
is true.
true.
That's facts.
Y'all oppression is on represented publicly,
Right.
but we're not talking about the black women who are missing due to sex trafficking, or we're
Right.
not talking about the black women who is also undergoing police murders. We're not
Right.
talking about those different things that are swept under the rug when it comes to the black women, but you don't find black women going up to black men. Hey, we're more oppressed than you. Da, da, da. It's when we
Facts.
often try to put
That is facts.
on display our challenges or our oppression is when the black man, no shade to y'all, when the black man comes in, oh, but we're treated worse than y'all. And it's like, that's not the point of
No.
this conversation. The point of this
Right.
conversation is, can we come to some common senses and say, hey, we're both oppressed. Hey, can we both meet each other in the middle and support one another? Hey, can you at least recognize that I'm oppressed too? You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Like, it's not
Exactly.
no whole who more oppressed and who's not. So like I see that often, and I hate being I was just in a conversation like that to
Yeah,
where
I don't like these conversations
I'm
either.
sorry, maybe I was a mad black woman this day because I was irritated. I was in conversation because I was stressed out with just tired of the mad black woman trope. And I was like, why do I always got to get put in these places to where somebody always feel like I have an attitude, where it's
Mm-hmm.
always something with me? Like, it's irritating.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to be a black woman nowadays. And then the black male that I was talking to, it's harder being a black man. Harder being a black man. Excuse me, please
Oh
explain.
man, you
Please
gotta have
explain.
conversation. And see, this
And
is
then he
where
had
common,
his
yeah,
experiences, and then he was telling me about his experience as a black man, which I will never minimize. Like, didn't minimize the experience. I
yep,
did say that it is wrong
yep,
to me, when that happens, that's an all lives matter call.
yeah,
All
yeah.
lives matter call. I'm sorry. If
In a
I'm sitting up here
sense,
telling you about my experience as a black woman and stuff that we go through, and you come in behind me as a black male talking about some, well, I go through this, we all go through this. That's an all lives matter call, man.
mm,
We're talking about the black woman experience right now. I just want to
right,
vent for a few minutes.
right.
Like,
And that's
don't
where,
take
and
don't take my experience away from me.
right,
Like,
and that's where black men, and this is where I think I've had this conversation with Tia when she was on the show too. This is where black men have to really show up in that space.
yeah.
Um, and I try to do my due diligence by showing up in that space. And honestly, to the black man, when you show up in that space, black men, literally other black men will look at you as weak or as why you in that space or what you trying to pull, all of that shit. My thing is this: I was raised by a single black woman, always had respect for black women and what they did. She taught me literally
Right.
how to be a man. You feel what I'm saying? Open doors for a woman, pump her gas, everything. Because I don't see a lot of black men doing that. But those are the black men
Right.
that you wanted me to look up to. Because
Mm-hmm.
black men didn't tell me that. I didn't see
Yeah.
black men doing that for their women unless they was the OG for real.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a black woman who taught me that. Let's be clear.
Right.
So even if, you know, you feel the way you feel, or we have our experiences, which we do as black men, we do have
Yes.
our experiences.
100%.
We get shot by police every day. And on the other hand, we shoot each other every day.
Every day. I
Okay.
saw this. It's crazy because I saw this post or whatever. It was like a meme or whatever. On one side, it was a white police officer. In the middle, there was a black man. And then in the on the other side, it was a black man holding a gun. Both the police officer and the black man holding a gun to this middle black man. And
Mm-hmm.
so you got the police officer that says nigger, and then on the other side, nigga, and then in the
Mm-hmm.
middle, it's like, what's the difference? Both of y'all, both sides
Both
are
of
killing our people.
exactly. You feel me? And we trying to get to a point as a community where we need to chill out, right?
Mhm.
But because, as I continuously say, it doesn't matter how much we as black men probably don't even like each other. They
Mhm.
gonna shoot us regardless, right?
Mhm.
They're going to shoot us regardless. So,
Mhm.
um, you know, having that in a sense and understanding that black men have to show up in their spaces when it's curated for black women to speak their piece and show their vulnerability, because we talked about that as well on this series, is vulnerability when it comes to black women, and you talked about it as well. It's really having that common sense, because common sense ain't too fucking common nowadays.
Mhm.
It's having the common sense and the ability and the capability
Mhm.
to really show up as a whole black man
Mhm.
and listen to not be heard.
Mhm.
Learning from black women as I have done,
Mhm.
that is one of the most important things. You
Mhm.
are there to listen
Mhm.
because they listen to us when
And protect.
anything, and protect. You feel what I'm saying? And I've said this on
Absolutely.
this show, and black men know it
That's
too.
a whole nother conversation.
And again, right? Yo, we as black men can sit here and fuck over the black woman as, and there are many ways, right?
Mhm.
And I've said this on my show. Black women hold us down like 10 flat tires every fucking time. Who bail Who bailing you out to jail? Your girlfriend, your mama, huh?
No, your girlfriend, your mama, your side chick.
Yeah, all right, all of them,
All the
and
above
and
that
and
you
and,
valuing. You
all
got
of them.
multiple
And who are they? Black women. Stop playing with
black
me.
women.
Like y'all know what's
Stop
good,
playing.
right? They've been to the ends of time. Like I think about, I've always thought about, and I'm a docu buff, so I always look at some of these documentaries, and I've said this to some of the interviewees past. Like when you look at a lot of these interviews, if it wasn't for our grandmothers, our great aunts, right? You know what I'm saying? Those women who
Right.
were really making them signs, who was stepping out on faith, praying. You understand what I'm saying? Cooking, cleaning, making sure the house is good, even now, right?
Mm-hmm.
The black man wouldn't even survive, bro.
Mm.
I've lived with black men. Okay.
First of
Like
all,
we
spiritually speaking, not even talking about race or anything,
right,
how humanity wasn't even complete until the woman came about.
right.
Period. That's
So,
spiritually
and that's
speaking.
facts. That's
That's
that's spiritual.
spiritually
That's
speaking.
spiritual
Oh,
fact,
that's
right?
spiritual fact.
Like, so it's like we have to understand. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I live with black men. I'm not even talking about my crew friends. I've lived with black men who don't know how to take care of themselves and really need a woman to take. Yo, it's fascinating to me, right? That you don't know how to wash your dishes. Okay. You don't know how to clean your clothes. Okay. You don't have to mop your house. See, this is the things that I appreciated in my mom, right? And understanding that this is subjective. This is non-gender shit. You need to understand that because when you grow up, right, you're not gonna need for nothing.
Right.
And so the fact that I know how to cook, clean, you know what I'm saying, make sure the house is good and everything like that, I don't look at it that as a weakness. A lot of men, black men, looked at that as a weakness.
Which is
Now what
crazy.
I will say, now what I will say is to a lot of black men like myself who got that instillment from our single black mothers are out here thriving in great relationships, okay? Because we can hold the house down and hold down a job when and if we need to. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not to even say the black man has been devalued by the black woman. They have been empowered and still
By the black
continue
woman.
to be empowered by the black woman. And so, again, to my point, we have to show up in those spaces respectively for the black woman, whether you are her piece or not, or you are showing up to a curation for black women to literally just have them talk about what is going on in those spaces. I've been in those spaces, right? I've had to learn what I've had to learn. Again, to the beauty of that, the most important is listening. What can I do to help? How can I help? What's good? You feel me? Because I'm not here for no motives. I'm here to sit here and understand where can I be of service.
Thank you. Said it again. I'm not here for the motives.
I'm not here for the motives. I'm here
Motives.
for and when and everybody's gonna have that. Black women particularly are gonna have that. Like, what you here for? You here? You know what I'm saying? And that's where you have to prove yourself because that's what you have to do. Your words ain't. And here's the thing: black men, I love us, but we sit here and think that our words are just going to change the situation. You ain't put in no work. You ain't listening. You're not listening. You're not listening to what black men are talking. I'm sorry, but what black women are talking about, what they're going through, what they're actually going through. For us to sit here and say, and again, this is to Chantelle's point, for us as black men to sit here and say, well, it's harder as a black man. How, do we have vaginas the first? Do we have breasts? Yes, some of y'all do, but they're not women breasts. Huh? Do we go through first of all, when I understood the whole cycle complex, I said I'm done. Oh, I'm not a what? I don't understand shit. When I understood just that little complexity of just that 1%, right? I said I ain't no. I don't understand a damn thing. And so I took it upon myself to. I remember going to, and I'm gonna go to the fourth question. I'm sorry, I'm going off the tangent.
You good? You good? I didn't spark
because
some
I just
stuff.
because I just feel like it is important, and it's the last episode too. So for the series, so we got to go crazy. It's important for us as black men to show up. It's important. It's we just can't talk about it, and then for us to show up, we just can't just show up and be lazy about it, right? Because that's not what we need right now. Black women are the most educated, and they are being put in spaces where they are going to need us in those spaces to hold them down. Why? Because they've been holding us down like 10 flat tires. They've been holding us down. Okay. And so it is just of importance. I was in a class. One of my first classes that I took in college and undergrad was black women. What was it? Black women culture, society and culture. Yes. Because I wanted to yo, the teacher was dope. I don't even think she's teaching anymore. She was part of Red Hat Society or something like that. Like, she was dope. She was amazing, yo. Like, when I learned from a black woman, to me, and this is no disrespect, but to me, sometimes black women often travel into every different area of knowledge and education, of experience and everything. And it teaches you and gives you a little bit of something that you may not have gotten.
Right.
And so for me, it's always important to show up for me as an advocate for the black woman, even if she's wrong, right? Even if she, now I'm gonna tell you that you're wrong out, in private, but in the moment I'm gonna support you, right? But in private, I'm now you know.
Right.
You won. You know what I'm saying?
She said it like that.
But again, Chantel, I think to your points that you made is all about us as black men showing up and being more supportive. And when I say show up, it's authentically showing up for y'all. You feel me? Because I really do feel like that's what y'all need from us at this juncture right now, because y'all are going into spaces that are, and our ego cannot let us, it can't block us. Right. It can't block us. Our egos can't block us when y'all are getting into these positions, having, or whatever, whether that's on a micro level, you know what I'm saying, in a relationship sense, or like a micro level, where it's like the first black Supreme Court justice, right? To the point where we just have to show up better. And again, I thank Cory Booker because he showed up. He showed up in a room full of white folks. He showed up for her. He showed up. He was like, I know they don't try to chew you up and spit you out. And so it was just the way he showed up that I need us as black men to show up more. And so honestly, that goes into the fourth question, because we need to understand that this is going out of the generational patterns. There's a new generation that is now looking up to us, right? There's a new generation that is now sitting here and, calling us the aunties, the uncles, the fathers and mothers. We're becoming godparents and we're becoming of age, right? We're getting more and more into adulthood, and we're finding out that honestly, we're becoming the mentors, right? The ones that are leading the next phase of life. And so what can we do individually and as a community to continue to help and educate the next generation moving forward?
I think first we need to become unified as a community to even start thinking about questions like that. Black community is the most divided community that there is.
Now that's a word.
So, no, seriously. And
Now that's a
so
word.
to even start thinking about that type of stuff, we need to start thinking about ways we can start becoming unified. At the end of the day. Like, at the end of the day, all we showing is the division. All we showing is that the oppression, what you call it earlier, the
Right. Yeah.
who's the oppression race and all this other
Right.
stuff. So like when we're unified, that's when change happens. When we're unified, that's when like we're able to tap into who we really are as kings and queens, as Black kings and queens.
Absolutely.
Like, when we're unified, that's when
Absolutely.
we're able to again bring about that change. So I think that that's need to be the first thing is how can we become unified as a Black community? How can we become unified between like how can the Black man and the Black woman become unified? I think that it's important to as far as like educating our the next generation and everything like that. I think that to continue talking about what's missing from the narrative, like
Mm-hmm.
we often have conversations about like how we're the only race that don't know exactly where we come from.
Right.
You know,
Right.
our
Right. Right.
history our history starts at the sex trade. No one to start way
Right.
before that.
Right. Right.
So just in general, like just having conversations about like what's missing from that narrative with our next generation, normalizing that, it normalizing what we talked about earlier, not continuing this whole yes, celebrate the first, but at the same time having that conversation. It shouldn't be always the first. It should
Right.
be normal that we are sitting in these positions because you are valuable, you are qualified, you deserve to be in that position just as much Trump deserved to be in that position.
Come on,
Like,
amen. Amen. Come on now, talk about it.
right, speaking while people were voting.
Talk about
When
it.
we was talking about, right. So I just feel like again, so my two things is how can we become unified as a community and show that
Mhm.
unity, and then secondly, like just continuing the conversations about what's missing from the narrative and constantly having that conversation with the next generation and affirming them and
Right.
helping guiding them and instilling that wisdom,
Right.
and so that's what I think in
I
general.
like that because that is one thing we need to do as a Black community. We do need to be more unified. I think,
Mhm.
and this may be an unpopular opinion too. I'm probably one of the kings of unpopular opinions, but that's fine. Um,
Same.
um, it's to the point where, you know, when I again learn more of our history back then, we were a lot more unified back in the day, you know. Um, and maybe that's because there was there wasn't social media back in the day for one. For two, there was a general lack of resources that we didn't have now,
Mhm.
right? That we
Mhm.
have now that we didn't have back then, that our ancestors and forefathers didn't have back then. And when we and I just want to hit a time period, just the 40s to the 70s, right?
Mhm.
Um, there was a deep no. Let's just go 1900s till, right? Slavery till hell.
Right.
There was just a deep rooted level of sense of kinship
Mhm.
for us. And I don't want to say that we lost that over time,
Oh, we lost
but
it.
we lost it. Like
We lost
the
it.
sense of kinship, like it was just, are we doing this for the love of us, or are we doing this for the love of just getting attention now? Right? Are we
Mhm.
doing this to actually make a stand, to make a movement, to actually make something, or are we just doing this, just to get the attention? Like it's those type of things now that I see, and I'm like,
Right.
we do have to reunify in some way, shape, or form. Like all of us are not going to agree. That's fine.
Mhm.
We ain't got to, but we do have to come to some type of compromise on what we need first
Mhm.
as a community, right? Um, and as a community, I think we've all said, I think everybody can generally say like we need a few things before we even tap into our own personal, or our
Right.
own little community stuff that we're trying to push and everything. Because over time, America's gotten bigger. We've had more kids, everything like that. People are, the population is getting bigger. So with that, you take that into account, and there's a lot of generational gaps and everything like that. Listen, every generation do things differently. So it's like I'm looking at it, and it's like, yeah, that is the true nature of everything. We do have to reunify and kind of come back towards this thing where no, it's not going to be one leader, right? Now there could be a face that could help, but there's not going to be a leader per se. We have to make sure that Black women are low key at the forefront of this movement that we're trying to do. And again, this is not the oppression Olympics. There we go. This is not the oppression Olympics.
Olympics, right?
Right?
Or yeah, or like in the sense where like unified in the sense where like I'm tired of seeing this. Like there's multiple Black folks that, I'm for the people, right? Okay,
Right.
you for the people, and you talking about issues within the Black women in the Black community, specifically with Black women, or you talking
Mm-hmm.
about issues with the Black man. But when you break those things down, like you can't fight for those issues without fighting for those who are oppressed and LGBTQ, that
Yes.
are transgendered folks, Black
Right.
folks who are, if you want to be real, they're at the bottom, 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 bottom,
Right.
bottom,
Right. Right. Right.
bottom,
Right.
bottom, bottom, bottom.
Facts.
So like it's just this whole sense of we're picking and choosing who we want to fight
Yeah.
for and who we don't want to fight for.
Yep.
When at the end of the day, we're all oppressed. At the
We're
end of the
all
day,
oppressed
we're all
in a sense.
excluded.
Yes.
Yeah, like why are we picking and choosing? Just
Yeah.
because
Because
I
you
don't
know what?
agree with the lifestyle, or just because I don't agree with certain things, that
Right.
means that you should be oppressed or you should die
Yeah.
because you're living your life differently from mine. At the end of the day, we're both
Facts.
Black.
Yep.
I should be supporting
Yes.
you to some
Yes.
capacity. Like I
Yes.
should be
Facts.
advocating for you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like, and this is an unpopular opinion, like I don't know how it feels to be transgender. I don't,
Right. Right.
And in my sense, I have more privilege than a transgender person because I'm not
And that's
dying
facts.
because I'm transgender.
Yes. Thank you for saying that.
I'm
Thank
not
you for saying
dying.
that.
I'm not excluded from both the Black community
Mm-hmm.
and from other communities because I'm
Mm-hmm.
transgender. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not getting denied the same resources, let alone all the resources, because I'm transgender. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
And I've
so we
said
got to
that.
get out of this concept of I'm going to support this person because I feel like I want to support this person. And you know what I'm saying? You can't pick and choose. If
Yeah.
you're going to be an advocate, be an advocate.
Right. And that's it. Be an advocate. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and that's why I said Chantel shows up. That's why I said that is how
I show
Chantel
up for
shows up
everybody. You will
for
see
everybody.
me
Mm-hmm.
you will see me show up for all who are oppressed.
Yes.
Like
Fact. And that's why I said she's the new Angela Davis for real. For real. You
I
feel
wish
what
you
I'm
would
saying?
stop saying
Because
that, y'all. I am
man,
not.
she is. She is. Listen. If Angela Davis, Lord be the glory. Like if she still got some life in it and you got to meet her, oh my God. Listen, that would be love. But it's really true. Like we have to just show up for the oppressed, right? And we can't really pick and choose. You know what I'm saying? I try not to, I work on that every day, but I try not to, right? I try not to pick and choose. If you are oppressed and I see it, I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna discuss it. Like, why are we for what? What are we talking about? Right. And I've
Right.
also said, and I got flack for this too, that Black people do have privilege. We do. In this age, in this reality, we do. And if you think we don't, then you need to kind of get it up to speed because we do have privilege. It may be very tiny, it may be very small, but to Chantel's point, transgenders don't have the same privileges that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Gay men and
Or when
women,
you talk about homeless population, I have
right?
more
The homeless
privilege than the
population,
homeless
they don't
than the
have it.
person that's homeless
Exactly.
living on the street.
Privilege doesn't just go to skin color, it goes to wealth, status.
Exactly.
What is your finances looking like? What are you looking like? Right. And so again, that is the best way to think about it is we have to reunify to get those things in order. Chantel, last question on the docket.
Mhm.
What does Black Women Win mean to you? This is the last Black Women Win series. Again, I want to thank everybody again. But what does that mean to you when you hear that phrase? Because I've asked all the Black women that have been on here, what does that mean to you? So when you hear that, what does that conjure up in your
Okay, so Black women, when I got all subtle,
mind?
Black women means to me, when I hear that, I hear the term victorious. Like I
Yes.
mentioned like I mentioned earlier, Black women are overcomers. We
Hmm.
get thrown so many things. We have to climb so many hurdles. We have to jump through so many loops, but yet you're still seeing us in these positions, but
Right.
yet you're still seeing us fighting, but yet you're
Right.
still seeing us on the forefront because why? We're overcomers. So to be a Black woman that wins is to be the one who's an overcomer, who is victorious and will
Woo.
forever be victorious to the day that she died.
Right.
So
Come
that's what
on.
that means
And
to
that's it. Yes. Come on. Listen, I want to thank you for coming on the show. This has been an amazing, amazing wrap up to this series. Again, I want to thank every single person who has tuned in, who has watched, who has listened to this series. This has been amazing. I've learned so much. I again try not to talk so much and listened more, you feel
Mhm.
me, in what this was, because this was a space, and I hope this was a safe space for you guys to just really express what we, as not only just a community of Black men, but what
Mhm.
essentially what we can do as a community of Americans and human beings here
Right.
to help you as Black women, period. Right, what can we do better? What can we do? How can we help? And so I want to thank you. I want to thank Tiaja. I want to thank Scorpion. I want to thank Jakia. I want to thank Taria. You feel what I'm saying? I want to thank all five of y'all for coming on this show and just giving your words of wisdom, dropping gems and everything. Where can people find you if you want them to follow you? You know what I'm saying? You don't
Listen,
really be on the
nowhere,
gram.
nothing.
No, for real, because I be telling people, like, the people I get on this bitch don't be really on the gram. It's like maybe two
You could
people
like at
that be on
all,
the gram
like
for real,
so.
but like the other ones, they really don't be on the gram. So like, if y'all don't y'all see in the street, just say, hey, Shante, like, you know what I'm saying?
Say, hey, you feel me? Yeah, man. So I just deleted my Facebook, where I deleted my Facebook a long time ago.
Right.
So you can't contact me through there. I have not created a new one. However, I have an Instagram. What is it? __ Shanti.
Yeah.
If you want to follow me, I'm rarely on there. Every now and then you'll see me hop on or whatever, post something here and there. But I try to stay away from social media, honestly, just for my own
Right.
personal sanity. It's too much fluke on social media for me nowadays. So
Right.
I
Right.
just be like, again, whatever. But if you want to follow me, Instagram, Shanti what underscore or it's Shanti __ and then I am on LinkedIn as well. My name is LaShawntelle Carson-Pops. I wish you will see me up there. Yikes! I don't have too many social media.
That's all right. But you know what?
Because,
That's
like I
okay.
said,
That's all
because
right.
I had to take a step back. I had to
That's all
step
right.
away.
Because first of
Um,
all, you're a therapist and you're pouring into folks. You understand what I'm saying?
man.
So you don't have time for that. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have time because you be having time to be pouring other into folks. You can't be pouring
But
into social media
I
like
need
that.
to start getting back on social media though, because it's my revealing time. Like I got so
Uh-oh.
much.
Come on now.
It's my revealing time. Like
Yeah.
it's so much that is in store that y'all are about to see. I.e., let me quickly plug my documentary.
Yes. Plug it. Plug it. Plug it.
It's called Life Beyond Closed Doors. That will be
Wow.
premiering. I want to say within the next 2 months.
I'm
We're
on it.
having a premiere here in Grand Rapids with our local TV station WKTV, a small focus
When?
group. And it's going to be within the next month or two. We're planning a focus group, a little mini event at WKTV. Is going to be premiered on our local TV station, and then after
Mm.
that, myself and my other partner, we are having a movie premiere. So we're renting out a movie theater, and
Yeah. See, now I gotta go to that.
we're renting out a movie theater so individuals from the community can come and see the documentary. And just in general, we'll be talking about mental health in general, and the impact of mental health that has been on the Black community, Black women, or just in general, like mental health since COVID has happened. So so that is on the come up, and I'm excited about that. Like, really. So I do need to have social medias, because I do need to start, plugging or pubbing all of these things. And Revive will be back on the map soon. So I need to stop playing. Yes.
Which is her nonprofit, by the way. Just wanted to
I didn't say that earlier.
I just wanted to plug that in there. She does run a nonprofit too, so I just want to say, my friend be out here.
Literally, a woman of Vineyard Heights. We are under construction right now. We used to have.
That's all right.
The media's up on the come up, but the way God is set up, He said, "I got something more for you. We're going exceedingly and abundantly."
Yes, amen. All about shape.
So,
yes.
So yes. So again, LinkedIn, Instagram.
All right. I'll have those links in our description box. Again, LaShawntelle, thank you so much for coming on the show. And again, I want to thank everybody for watching and listening wherever you are listening from. Subscribe to us on the Spotify's and the YouTube, or subscribe to us on YouTube too to watch this. You know what I'm saying? And listen to us via audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're everywhere. Pandora, type in Amazon Music. We're on that. You can, say Alexa, and they'll do what, you know what I'm saying? And
Alexa,
you know what I'm saying? And I have my Alexa right here, so I can't say it too loud because
she's gonna be like, "Hi."
Right, she'll say the whole shit, and I'm like, no, I can't do that right now. But again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, cop some merch. You feel what I'm saying? I got my merch out right now. Make sure you cop that. We'll have Black Women Win merch up until April 4th. So if you want to cop any shirts, tote bags, hoodies, you trying to get what now?
I'm trying to get the tote and the hoodie.
Yeah, the tote hoodie. They will be exclusively until April 4th, and that's it. They will be gone. Right now, if you hit me and be like, can you keep it up? Like, then you know what I'm saying. If you buying enough.
with the emoji eyes.
If you buying enough. Period. Then maybe, but April 4th will be the deadline for the Black Women Win merch. So tap into that. Tap into some Black Men Win merch. And tap into just the merch store. Period. Tap in with that. THCMediaNetwork.com. We'll have all of that in the description box when we drop the episode. All right. I love you guys. Thank you again, LaShawntelle, for coming on the show. We appreciate you. We love you. And I love you guys. All right, so be good, stay easy. This has been another one, and we will be back. See y'all. Peace, love, and hair grease.
Bye.